was a good sound.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, so we're here once again with a brand new episode of the Smol Bear Show, and I mean brand spanking new. Okay, we have in the house with us a recurring guest and multiple contributor to our publications that are forthcoming from Nocturnicorn Books. The founder of Mondo 2000 magazine, which is originally Reality Hackers and something else, the name escapes me. It was
High Frontiers was
High
the first.
Frontiers,
Yeah.
was a founder of the neo-psychedelic movement. Its associates include Kathy Acker, William S. Burroughs, Timothy Leary, Trent Reznor, Bruce Sterling, John Shirley. The man is a living legend, but he's not dead yet. He's still here and he's still vital, and he's still, not only is he writing, as a journalist, he's a author, he's a musician. He most recently just came out with a new album from Are You Sirius and Phriendz, Phriendz. What was the title of that album?
The Smarter Kings of Deliria.
Smarter Kings of Deliria, which I've listened to on repeat on Bandcamp, and it's available on Bandcamp now. Please come out and support Ken's work, because it's fucking badass. And he's I'm literally doing the show. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna stop this, and then I'm gonna pause.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, so hello and welcome once again to a brand new episode of the Smol Bear Show. I am your host, Alex S. Johnson. I founded Nocturnicorn Books, and we're just getting started here. People are waking up. It's 8:17 a.m. in California. I'm in Carmichael, California. It's a suburb of Sacramento. It's very early, and our we're waiting for our guest, Jen Hasker from the UK extreme metal band Defenestration, and I don't know what's going on with that. But at any rate, we were supposed to have Ossiana Tepfenhart, who apparently has flicked out on us once again. It doesn't matter, though, because we have with us in the house none other than Are You Serious? Are You Serious? The founder of Mondo 2000 magazine. If Ken Goffman, aka Are You Serious, had done nothing else with his life but founded Mondo 2000 and spearheaded the neo-psychedelic revolution, his name would be immemorial. But see, the thing with cyberculture and cyberpunk is it's of the perennial future. Like Jacques Derrida was always talked about différance, right? The meaning is always deferred. And I think that's something that could be said also of people like Jean Baudrillard, but we're not going to talk about, media theory right now. We're going to talk about media practice, right? Media practice in the present moment, because
my co-author for the upcoming book about Mondo 2000, Shira Chase, she teaches media and entertainment theory at the University of Georgia.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's really really badass. Yeah. I mean, I make a lot of reference these days. I into people like the guy who wrote the work of art in the or Walter Benjamin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're really facing a situation that's right out of the pages of the work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction, right? We're talking about fascism as entertainment, or you know,
Hmm.
um, uh, that that weird South African dude who was a heir to a diamond fortune, right?
Musk.
Musk, Musk. I always think of like a muskrat or something, a muskrat, a
Yeah.
muskrat, right?
Yeah.
He's literally doubling down on the fact that he did a Heil Hitler salute, and
Right.
when he was asked at the president, you know, evil orange, Homer Simpson's inauguration, and when asked about it, he said, "Yeah, that was a fucking, Heil Hitler salute." So, what are you going to do? We're on a travel warning list from Germany. So the United States is officially like a terrorist state, according to Germany. When you're schooled in fascism by Germany, you're in a dystopian nightmare. You know, like we're talking about the scary, and I just remember, when I had several years ago when I returned to Sacramento here, and I had our mutual friend Thomas Roche in Ken, and he came over to my house here, where I live with my elderly parents, Stephen and Beatrice Johnson, and I by the way, Stephen Johnson, is also like somebody who's very, very prominent in as far as being a pioneer, futurist, and he's like a rock star of you know, possibilicist. He's a possibilicist. His fans include Bjork, right? Fucking Bjork, man. So he's
Fucking Bjork. Yeah.
right. So shout out to Bjork. I
Yeah.
keep trying to get in touch with Bjork, but they're very hard to get in touch with. Anyway, so I come from a long line of pioneers, man. My great grandfather was Herbert Eugene Bolton, who founded the Bolton theory of the Americas and essentially
Mm.
rewrote American history for all time. Um, and so, just the idea that we're not isolated and we didn't, it's not all about the Plymouth Rock. It's about Mexico and it's about, you know, you know, it's like New Mexico and Arizona and the borderland states. And he dubbed,
All right, well, I'm renaming the
yeah,
Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of Deliria,
the Gulf of
which
Deliria.
will be where the Kingdom of Deliria occupies.
That reminds me of how in that movie, John Lennon versus the United States versus John Lennon, which had your friend, the late great Timothy Leary in it, right, about John Lennon, and it and John and Yoko were saying, um, oh yeah, we just founded a new state. It's called New Utopia,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
I love that.
mhm,
I
yeah,
love the fact that I count myself as part of this because, you know, we are active members of the Rebel Alliance, and
yeah,
we're doing something that has been done in history, in historical terms, the mass resistance to fascism. And
mhm.
so I really want to talk about that. But first, I also want to introduce Alea Celeste Williams here. Okay. So, Alea Celeste Williams, where do I even begin? Right. I don't even know where to start. Right. This is my lovely Pickles. I call her
Aw.
Pickles. Okay. I don't know why. Well, it's from Shaun of the Dead. And Pickles here is just a beautiful human being.
Aw,
Okay. And
cute.
and 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 a lovely person and took care of her mom,
Aw.
when her mom was sick, and then she's really sacrificed a lot to take care of people. And that's one of the main things that attracted me to her, is not her being an edgy person who's like into, extreme heavy metal, or, bands like Bauhaus, although that
Yeah,
is
no,
very,
I'm also
very
a hippie too.
right. Although that is
Even though I
very,
was born in
that is
85.
extremely relevant. So I guess the last time out that um that the last publication that we had, well, actually the most recent, we're going to be talking about the most recent publication
Mm.
of Pickles, is in a book called Thunderstruck. And this, I just want to remind the viewers and that these are all available, on Kindle and paperback. And I'm going to be putting out a special new revised edition of Thunderstruck. I just want you to soak in the beautiful, like, cosmic rays of this book.
Who
Right.
did the cover?
That's Sandy DeLuca. Sandy
Oh.
DeLuca, who's a witch. She lives in Providence, Rhode Island, and she was a contributor to stir a silver to stir a magic cauldron by Silver Ravenwolf, right? So,
Okay.
which is fucking awesome, right? I had a copy of that, right? My dad also is a contributor to Llewellyn Books. He did something called Lunar Nodes, in addition to writing books that were like bought by, the likes of Bjork. Okay, so
Fucking Bjork.
fucking Bjork,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, man. You know who's great? Bjork. You know who's also
She's got a
great?
concert on Apple TV that's just out of this world visually and musically. If you
Yeah.
happen to have, if you have a Mac, you can probably get on Apple TV.
Oh yeah, I'll check that shit out. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, man. I love that. I love that. So Bjork endorses my dad, and so does a guy who's best known for his performance art piece called um uh Soy Bomb. Um
The one who ran across the stage and Bob Dylan was
that's him.
performing.
That's him,
Ah,
Michael Portnoy,
ah,
aka Soy Bomb,
all
the
right,
notorious
Soybo.
Michael Portnoy, who actually, so this is a really interesting story, right? So Bjork, well, I don't know, I don't we just get the story from Michael Portnoy, right? So Bjork, um apparently, according to the lore, bought a copy of my dad's book, What the World Needs Now, and loved it so much that she was like, okay, so I have a friend who's, I mean, like, that she was like, okay, so she had a friend who was having who was getting married, right? And she said, what better wedding gift to another creative person than What the World Needs Now by Stephen M. Johnson? Shout out to my dad, who was
Uh,
also in the ground floor of um let's see if I have a copy.
yeah,
Right. Which I believe, Ken, you were a contributor to.
yeah, much later, but yeah, I think Howard Rheingold was editing it when I wrote for them in the 80s and the 90s.
And so Bjork, um Bjork Goodman's daughter, right, to give her full name, was like, hey, this is a bitchin' radical book. And said, okay, so gave it to a friend of hers who was getting married, and then the wedding didn't work out. But, you know, um, that relationship's loss was the world's gain, because a guy named Michael Portnoy, aka Soy Bomb, um, the notorious Soy Bomb, um, you know, received it from the friend whose marriage broke up, right? And he said, Bjork gave this to me, but I don't know, man, maybe you could, get something out of it because you're another pioneer, right? And what I told Michael, that I said, hey man, I think that you're in the tradition of Marcel Duchamp, right? And he said, Bob would disagree with you. So, right. So I was like, okay. And then, so then Michael Portnoy was like, I got to get a hold of the Stephen Johnson person. And so then he called my dad up, and then they've been fast friends and collaborators ever since. And then, so that's my dad. That's where I come from. We're none of us originals, right? I mean, like the whole transgressive fiction tradition, the whole poet maudit tradition, it goes back centuries. It goes back to Francois Villon. It goes back, actually, if you think about it, it goes back to Lucifer. Like, well, I mean, think about it. It's like when William Blake was talking about, how in Marriage of Heaven and Hell, he said that, that that Milton was of the devil's party without knowing it, right? If you think about it, it's all transgression is all about bringing the light. That's what Lucifer means, light bringer. It's nothing to do with evil. And I think that one of our good friends, her name is Elvorian von Spivey. She was in a band called Penis Flytrap, right? And they had the lead singer was dying of cancer from 45 Grave, right? And she lived with Ken Anger for like 20 years or so. So what does this have to do with anything? I don't know, man, because it's all about reverencing like the pioneers, right? And
I would say my friend Richard Metzger has something called the Magic Show, Magick.
yeah,
It's interviews with everybody you can think of, including some old stuff of Kenneth Anger,
wow.
and all the people who began chaos magic and a lot of witches and warlocks. Magic Show, just look it up. It's there's video being released a bit at a time. I think you have to join somehow. Uh, but yeah,
Thank you for
a
that.
lot of
And
content there.
that's so cool. Thank you, Ken. What that reminds me, because like recently I just called up, as I was saying earlier, that Marion from Research Publications, because I would really like to get Val Vale on board with the Junk Merchants, or William S. Burroughs tribute. But to the point about chaos magic, it was fascinating. There's a fascinating story having to do with the Junk Merchants, I mean, related to the Junk Merchants, because so check this out. When Val Vale interviewed oh yeah, Genesis P. but the late great Genesis P. for Industrial Culture Handbook, I believe, right?
Mm.
And then our friend David J. Haskins read it and said, wow. So I'd never heard of, I mean, David was like, he'd never heard of chaos magic before, or throwing sigils or anything like that. And so, and he was really turned on to that by the interview with Jen that Val did. And so then he used sigil magic to summon William S. Burroughs, right? And that led to him being part of this whole group in and around. Who's the guy who wrote not Val, V for Vendetta? Um,
Hmm.
Not Grant Morrison, but
Yeah, the other guy
the other guy,
with
Alan
the
Moore.
with the Alan Moore. Yeah,
Alan Moore, right? So Alan Moore and Genesis P. Orridge and some other folks in England were part of this kind of occultist group, right? And so I
Was
mean,
Alan Moore part of the Temple of Psychic Youth?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe
Ah,
so.
that's pretty
And
wild.
they pulled in David Haskins, and he said that it was actually deranged him, you know. So so
In a good way.
and well, I don't know, man, but I
Nervous
think
breakdown.
something like that. Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I would ascribe the
nervous
fact
breakthrough as a
a nervous
term
breakthrough, right?
I prefer. Yeah,
So cool.
19th nervous breakthrough.
19, I was about to say, man, we're in a psychic or psycho uplink of some sort.
Psycho. Yeah, we're going
Like
psycho.
psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? A fa 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 fa.
Eh,
Run, 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 run away. And also, speaking of, oh, I was still introducing our dear friend Pickles. Where do I even start with Pickles? So, most recently, or next to last recently, we and our dear friend Providence, Sandy DeLuca, who's not doing so well. So if we could maybe give her a squeeze and shout out the great, Sandy DeLuca, who's a two-time Bram Stoker, award nominee, who's and her books are in the permanent collection of the this I forget the name of the collection at Brown University, along with you know, like Walt Whitman and Edgar Allan Poe, people like that, right? And so um she initiated this book way back in like 1998. Last year she approached me and she said, "Hey, I like your stuff. Could you collaborate with me? Could we write a book together?" And it wound up being called Thunderstruck because AC/DC. Um, and so then I said, "Well, you know who's really good poet? Pickles.
Aw.
Pickles."
Mm.
And so Andy did the cover art, extremely badass cover art. And she also did the cover art for my book, The Flowers of Doom, which got rave reviews and blurbs from people like John Shirley. I'll just mention this just in passing. Not to toot my own horn, but just this is extremely significant for me. The Flowers of Doom proves once again that Alex S. Johnson is the Baudelaire of our time, the poet of the underground. His referential incantations summon new visions of the demi-monde from which all deep creativity arises. Potent stuff, you'd better sit down first, John Shirley. Right? So, our dear friend Sandy DeLuca did the cover art. The design was done by our friend who does all of our covers, Adrian Baldwin, who also does who's also an author, and he does all the work with Phantasmagoria magazine in England, which publishes the likes of Stephen King, right? I mean, they're so it's incredible, and Graham Masterton. Okay, so he's a legend, and um, I'm shortly going to be talking about the Bauhaus tribute, and we're going to get back to Ken, and then we're going to, we're just going to keep on keeping on, man. So these are a lot of songs, a lot of poems. Some of them are songs that Pickles and I developed, that we collaborated with, you know, I started to was really, really sick. I am still really sick with a brain degeneration from a mysterious illness. And I we became very, very, very close, tight friends, Alea and I around the clock, being out, looking out for each other, being supportive and taking care of each other. And so we started collaborating on stuff just for our own private shits and giggles, right? We wrote some songs. Like one of my favorites is called Pontiff of Shadows, which is actually a doom metal song, you know, Pontiff of Shadows, which I'll be reading, we got some those songs slash poems like Black Mass of the Scarlet Whore that I wrote. Mistress of Graves is another one that I wrote. It's essentially doom metal, right? So this is an extremely metal book. It got some dark hip hop in it. It's got Pontiff of Shadows. And I'll just read the first stanza or whatever you want to call it, by Alexis Johnson and Alea Celeste Williams, because we're so incredibly proud that this is our private stuff. We never in a million years thought would be in a book that got a rave review from Cemetery Dance magazine, right?
Right.
So it's like Pontiff of Shadows, you're living a lie. Prayers won't avail you. Now it's time to die. Born from the shadow of Christ's crucifixion, unhallowed being, part real and part fiction. That's a nod to Bob Dylan, right? Buried in the deepest ground of hell, the cult brought you back, your humanity's death knell, Pontiff of Shadows. Okay, so we really, I'm putting it out there, man. Like if
Yeah,
anybody
that's pretty good. I
wants
like
to,
that.
thank you. If
Pretty
anybody,
good.
pretty good, man. So if
Yeah,
anybody
yeah, science student.
if
Okay.
anybody like Bob Dylan and Ozzy Osbourne wants to put this to music, man, like Pontiff of can you imagine Ozzy singing Pontiff of Shadows, right? Or, Tony Martin. We're gonna have Tony Martin on the show. Tony Martin from Black Sabbath, man. So anyway, Pickles here and I started collaborating, we and then she got me back on my feet. Like she was so inspirational to me
Oh,
because of her being a very caring and kind and gentle person and taking care of her mom and then her pets and her cats, and we're down to just the one now, and she lost her mom, and so we nearly lost Pickles too. Pickles
oh,
nearly died. Pickles nearly died
Wow.
last year. That was a
yeah,
really hard situation.
No, what happened
yeah.
there? I had triple bypass surgery last
Oh,
year myself.
Oh,
oh,
wow.
wow.
Boy.
Wow.
Gosh. Yeah, mine was I had a big uh like a mass in my uterus, so I had to get a hysterectomy. But yeah, this thing was like this
No.
actually the size of a basketball. Sorry for the graphic
Yeah, no,
description.
that's all right.
But and Alex was very, oh my gosh, he was very, very concerned about me, and he really encouraged me to go to the hospital. And also Sandy DeLuca was also very concerned, and they both pretty much said the same thing. And it was like one of those situations where I'd tried to get help for it before and just didn't really have any luck the multiple times I tried over years and years. And so apparently this thing grew and
Oh,
to
shit.
the size of a basketball. And they finally told me
It's
before
not
they
funny. It's
decided,
just
oh yeah, maybe
horrifying.
this thing should come out. So
You better get that
so,
out. My
yeah,
God.
and Alex was also really supportive, and he made a GoFundMe to help me because I had to take some time off work, and so he raised some money too, and a lot of my friends and family also chipped in on that, and also like sent me some money to help me out, which was amazing because you know, it was really a blessing because
Oh,
we don't make a whole lot of money. So it was
oh,
like,
speaking of
I'm
speaking of
glad you got a chance to have that
yeah,
operation. My partner Eve,
yeah.
who passed away last year, had a lump in her breast that got so big that it like was jutting out, and it was just about to pierce her skin. When she finally decided, okay, I'm going to have the operation.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I'm sorry
Oh,
for your loss, Ken.
yeah,
yeah. Sorry.
medical
Cat's
stuff,
eating
so
me up. Well,
bizarre. Having
Um,
a body is so
having a
strange.
body is really
yeah.
weird, man. It's really fucked up,
Eh,
man. Really fucked up. Like so anyway, so she's a ufologist who has achieved close encounters of the fifth kind, which we're going to be talking about.
ugh.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry, I'm
yes,
gonna let this cat out because he's beating me up. So I'll be right
okay.
back.
All right, no worries. And so meanwhile, um, just for the readers and the viewers out there, our latest thing that we just put out just recently, just like about 3 weeks ago. It seems like a century ago because we've had spontaneous coverage from like 6 major um, uh, webzines, including Dark Entries magazine in the Netherlands and also MK Ultra magazine, which is fantastic, right? And so this is called, I don't even, this is a holy object, okay? I just want, and Leah, right? We're part of something historic. This is a holy object. Thank, I just want to give a warm shout out and squeezins to David J. Haskins, because without whom this would not have happened, and his music, and with his bandmates Kevin Haskins, his brother Kevin Haskins, Daniel Gaston Ash, and the always interesting and frequently insane Peter Murphy. Okay, so we're also going to give a shout out to Peter Murphy, even though his shenanigans pretty much, lead to Bauhaus breaking up almost as soon as they reunite every couple of years, right? And it's not his fault, man. He's a creative genius, okay? So like kudos to Peter Murphy wherever you are, but I mean, he's in Turkey. We know where he is. Um, we know where you are, Peter. We know where you live, Peter Murphy. But it's your shenanigans that's responsible for Bauhaus breaking up. Fortunately, Bauhaus keeps going, and we have Ossiana Tepfenhart on the phone. Should I take it?
I guess so. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Hi. Yeah, hi. We're on the show right now. You were sleeping, man. Okay, so hop on the Zoom link right now. We're in here with Ken and Alea. So you see the Zoom link, right? Okay.
Oh, dead air. You can't have a dead air. It's illegal to have dead
All
air
right.
during a.
So
Okay, now he's talking.
we have Ossiana Tepfenhart, and we're gonna have so then we're going to be talking about the Bauhaus book. So as we get Ossiana on the show, now our very, very latest book is called White on White: A Literary Tribute to Bauhaus. And let's see, I want to make sure that Ossiana has the right link, because there was 2 links, but I I sent it. I sent the second link about 3 times, so they should have it. So anyway, special collector's edition. This is the White on White: A Literary Tribute to Bauhaus. Now, so Alea, could could you please tell the peoples? I know Ken knows, but do you please tell the people just some of the authors that are involved with this book?
Well, we've got, obviously, as you mentioned, we've got Kevin J. Haskins. We've got.
Well, not Kevin, not Kevin.
Oh, okay.
Kevin
Yeah.
is, well, there is a tie-in though. Kevin
Yeah.
Kevin Haskins, who's the drummer for not only Bauhaus but Love and Rockets, right? He and David are both contributed work to Sweet Relief Musicians Fund, which was actually, because we had the devastating wildfires in LA, and people just now it's like, oh, that was 2 months ago, like, fuck you, LA. But our friends are still affected, right? We, had several people lost their houses, from okay, so yeah.
Okay.
What I just sent you the Zoom link 3 times to all of your emails. I don't know why the Zoom link, I mean, it's 3 emails, then into your 3 emails, and then Leah also forwarded and wrote you just now. So you should have it like 5 different times. The Zoom link. No. This is just well, I can't. What? It's Bitter Edge. Yeah, I can't. Yeah. So hop on. Okay, bye. So anyway, this is not as
I like this style of podcast actually. No, it's very cool. I like the dynamics of seeing you on the phone with somebody. Yeah,
We're pretty casual.
verite.
right. It's very,
Yeah,
very verite. It's also a cut up
yeah,
in
yeah,
real time.
yeah. It's very cool. I like
it-
it actually.
Thank you so much. That really appreciates that, and it really means something to me. Apparently we were going to have Jen Tasker from, UK fucking metal legends, Defenestration. And just a shout out to Jen. I don't know what happened to them.
Yeah, I got up early in the morning for you.
I know, right? So anyway, and they confirmed last night, and they confirmed 2 times. So we're always welcome. Always got a squeezy hugs for Jen Tasker from, they toured with. I just want to, if they do pop on the show, I just want to say that they have, were on the John Peel show.
Mm.
The John Peel show. I mean,
Oh yeah.
we have.
Is he still alive?
I don't know.
Oh.
And they toured with the Cradle of Filth and fucking Megadeth and right, and who else? Slayer.
Oh.
They
Yo, what's up?
toured. Yo, Ossiana. So we were just talking about we're still waiting for our special guest, who this is the reason that we did the show, and everybody's here early.
Get some coffee.
I really appreciate everybody, being awake at this ungodly hour.
Well, for me, it is ungodly. I always wake up at like 1, 2 p.m. EST.
Exactly, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I really appreciate your being here, Ossiana. And so I was just saying that for some reason, even though they confirmed twice last night, Jen Tasker was not Jen's fault, because it's the record label, right? The record label, Bitter Edge. We're supposed to have Jen Tasker from UK metal titans, Defenestration, who have toured with the likes of Megadeth and Raging Speedhorn and Cradle of Filth, and who else? And fucking did I mention okay, Napalm Death, right? They've toured with
Mhm.
Napalm Death. They they played Wembley Stadium with Cradle of Filth. Okay. I just wanted to pause. I also wanted to give, speaking of Cradle of Filth, as we were, I just wanted to give a warm shout out and a squeezy hug to my friend and colleague Sarah Jezebel Diva from now she's singing with the Covenant of Norway, right? They're the
Oh, nice.
Norwegian black metal band from Norway. Actually, more gothic metal, I would say, and beautiful. And speaking of Norwegian heavy metal, I
Mhm.
want to give a shout out to my friend Agneta from the band Matter Mortem. We're the
Nice.
subject of a documentary film and also one of the most beloved metal bands in the world. I was very, very fortunate to be hosted by Agneta, in Norway, in Oslo in 2006, when I attended the Inferno Extreme Music Festival and I interviewed the likes of Emperor for Metal Maniacs magazine, of which I was a staff writer for a decade, between 1999 and 2009. And right before Metal Maniacs, the Zenbu publications pulled the plug on them because they weren't making as much money as their Grateful Dead Relics fanzine, right? Even though it was fucking Metal Maniacs. They even pulled the plug on Metal Edge. What were they thinking, right? I was about to,
Metal Metal Edge was kind of like an institution, though. Why would they do that?
because it wasn't making as much money as Relics magazine, literally their Grateful Dead fanzine, right? So I was about to go into the studio with, wait for it,
Hmm.
okay, who wrote the song Angel of Death, right? Angel of Death, Slayer. I was about to go into the studio with Slayer.
Nice.
Yes, and so anyway, where do we
Y-
even begin? So I was talking about Alea. I was introducing Alea slash Pickles. So, and I was also talking about um this book, which all of us are except Mr. Goffman here are in, but Are You Serious is going to be in our forthcoming book. We're now it's a I'm serving up an appetizer, which is essentially the best of the Junk Merchants too. It's called Just One Fix, a literary salute to William S. Burroughs, which also contains a note from a fan by Ossiana Tepfenhart. It contains material
You should
from
try to get Al Jorgensen in there.
Oh, I did. I've tried to get everybody. I'm trying to, and since we have, we have, everybody except Jen Tasker, who's more on the metal side of things. Don't get me wrong, Jen Tasker is a fucking legend of heavy, extreme heavy metal, right? But and we're, speaking of heavy metal, okay, one of the books that we're putting out, um next. I mean, we have the Junk Merchants too. We have the Just One Fix, a literary salute to William S. Burroughs, which is the best of the best of the best of the Junk Merchants too, which we're going to be putting out a little later because we're holding out for Patti Smith and we'll see Al Jorgensen and whoever else, but Al Jorgensen, but and maybe Trent Reznor, I don't know. The sky's the limit. We're definitely have I talked to Val Vale's assistant Marion at Research Publications yesterday. So we're very, very looking forward to having potentially Patti Smith on board. And so the reason that this book Why and Why, the literary tribute to Bauhaus, came together the way it did was because when I was looking for, whom to invite to contribute to my William S. Burroughs, little pet project, right? My tribute anthology to William S. Burroughs. The first one that we did back in, I believe it was 2016, had a foreword by none other than Graham Masterton. Okay, if you don't know who Graham Masterton is, I know all of y'all know who Graham Masterton is, but who said he wrote in the foreword, this really fits the bill, right? As in Bill Burroughs, right? Bill, Graham Masterton wrote The Manitou, which was turned into a film with Tony Curtis, and it's a really fucking strange movie, right? I mean, it's as much bizarro horror, and it's as much transgressive, literary fiction as it is a horror novel. He doesn't really consider himself like a full-fledged horror novelist because he's most proud of collaborating with Burroughs in a book called The Rules of Duel. So the man wrote a novel with William S. Burroughs. How many people did that? Not many. And so at any rate, this new one, among its many contributors, including people like Maxim Jakubowski, John Palisano is a Bram Stoker award-winning author, Caitlin R. Kiernan, who's a two-time World Fantasy and Bram Stoker award-winning author, and a collaborator with our friend Billy Martin / aka Poppy Z. Bright, who wrote the introduction to this book, the Junk Merchants too, and so which was the sequel to the Junk Merchants, and so we had Jen P. Orge's assistant, Jakarutu 23 was a contributor to the original Junk Merchants, which had a cover by no less a personage than Billy Chainsaw himself, right? Billy Chainsaw, right? And so, okay, long story short, I approached David J. Haskins through his website about possibly contributing to the Burroughs tribute anthology without any expectation whatsoever, right? I mean, he's literally David J. Haskins. The man wrote the song Bela Lugosi's Dead. If he'd only written Bela Lugosi's Dead, which came out in 1979, believe it or not, 1979, his name in history would be, ingrained in stone, right? So like
Maybe we should do. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I just had like an idea because
Yeah.
I think I showed you guys the video of the art show I went to last night.
Yes.
So the art show that I went to last night was actually a product of the craziness that happened Thursday with me.
Yeah.
I found out that my friend who was a close friend of mine for 11 years, actually the one who was there when I got resuscitated, he was cheating on his girlfriend, and
Yeah.
we hooked up shortly after he resuscitated me.
I know. I read your article.
Yeah, so she ended up inviting me to a art show, and she worked the art show, which was like the coolest
cool.
thing ever. And this art show had a 3D projector of like some of the hottest talent in art in the region.
Okay.
And they had like a team which would do like custom art movies with them.
Right.
And I asked them like how they were doing like the scouting and stuff like that. Or I asked one of the other people who was working it.
Right.
And they did a cattle call where they would literally line up all of the top artists and be like, hey, we have an invitation for you.
Oh, nice.
Show us what you've got.
Okay.
And if we really like your stuff, we'll include it. That would be the easiest way to get a bunch of people associated with Bauhaus.
Well, not only that, but David is also an artist.
He is?
Yes, he is. In fact, our mutual friend, Michelle Fairchild, um, long story, but Michelle Fairchild and I and we'll be talking about Jordan Gallagher a little later, but she was at she actually went to one of his art shows, David's art shows in near Pasadena. He lives in Pasadena, and so for her, she nearly lost her house. She and her mom nearly lost her house. Oh, she's best known for actually our readers and fans of our show out there. For not only she and I co-wrote a poem for the junk merchants too, called Death Space, but also what else? There's a lot of really cool things about. Oh yeah, she and her mother actually collaborated on a story for a book called Noir Erotica 2, a Pulp Friction, which was a series that was included people like, John Shirley. John Shirley is a recurring theme around here, right? John Shirley, Poppy Z. Bright, Caitlin R. Kiernan, Lydia Lunch, all the people, Cecilia Tan, Krista Faust, Patrick Califia, and actually introduced Thomas to Krista Faust. And so Thomas Roche, give a shout out to Thomas Roche, who's actually working for Kaiser Permanente. He doesn't like me to commingle the fact that he's a psychologist with Kaiser Permanente with the fact that he is, like was one of the leading sexperts of the 90s, like, along with people like Susie Bright, aka Susie Sexpert, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the man is a fucking legend. Thomas Roche, man, he stopped
He
writing
used
because
to
of Trump.
he used to work with me at
Yeah,
gettingit.com and lasted about a year. He had some great columns.
he did, and he also contributed a column to my magazine Juggernaut, um,
Uh,
which also had a cover by. This is all very incestuous, right? Which the second cover was done by Amelia Jean Forrest Black of Blue Blood magazine. And that was of our friend Terry B. Murphy of the band My Ruin and Tura Satana and they also Blue Blood magazine. This is extremely incestuous, guys. Right. We have this is like fucking Blue Blood magazine, the trade mag of cool. And since we're not monetized, I can show this to you.
Oh
Gothic
wow.
Gothic Scenester Sex with Thomas S. Roche. This is Blue Blood magazine, and actually, the last time I talked to, I talked.
that was a good magazine. Does that still exist?
No, it's still it was an online publication, and I contributed.
No, I had physical copies of it.
Right. No, I mean it was most recently an
Oh,
online magazine, and then it was
uh,
just I can't show you the porn shit, but
no,
well, I mean I will,
why not?
when we're not
Oh,
recording,
okay.
but I don't want to get kicked off of
Wait, we're
Oh,
not
YouTube.
okay. You
recording.
get
Huh? Oh,
We are recording,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are recording. So I believe yeah, we are
okay.
Yeah.
recording. Yeah.
I'm glad to cause some confusion.
Okay, yeah. So this is
Uh,
what I can show you. I can show you the
yeah, that's
cover,
pretty
which is
cool.
just a little bit of,
Uh,
a little piece of the action there, right?
we're gonna
And
have to edit that out before everything gets banned off YouTube, my boy.
are you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah,
Watch
I'm pretty sure, bro.
nobody watches this shit, right? Nobody cares, man. We have like 23 viewers. Some our last show we did with Suzanne Lummis, the granddaughter of Charles Lummis of the Southwest Museum fame and the founder of the Los Angeles Poetry Festival, and the creator of Poetry Noir. We had no viewers. no viewers. So I'm pretty sure we're safe, Ossiana. Okay. So anyway,
She was
um,
great.
yeah,
People should watch her. Yeah.
right. So so the last time I talked to in person with Amelia G from Blue Blood, right? Um, like I was doing an interview for Juggernaut magazine with Cradle of Filth, right? And we were at this hotel in LA in Hollywood, and Danny Filth was craving cocaine. Okay, I can just say it because I have no love lost between me and Danny, Anyway, it's true, man. So, and what are they going to do? Sue me? You know, the people who did most famous for being like fucking vampire Satanists or whatever they are. Yeah, you're going to sue me, right? For saying something that's just like, oh, a heavy metal musician, was craving hard drugs. Anyway, oh, I'm sorry, should I have said that? Okay, so this had photographer Justice Howard, who's a Facebook friend of mine, Cecilia Tan, who did
You just got a message from Bitter Edge apparently on a
okay,
group email.
okay.
Oh,
So
oh boy.
what happened? What happened to
I
that?
don't know, it just popped up on my screen.
Oh,
So
okay.
maybe
Can
you
you
want to
please
open
send
your
the correct
email.
Zoom link again and Jen will join?
Oh, okay. So I just did Pickles, could you resend it because I can't I you know ah, I'm because neurodivergent. Okay. I know
You're okay.
you're
Yeah,
neurodivergent too, so
I will send it.
anyway, so
Give me a
um
minute and I
so in while we're waiting,
I gotta go in about
okay,
5 minutes.
okay, so
Yeah.
Bitter Edge will be covering everything I need to say.
okay, great.
I'm not sure
So
what they're gonna say, but it'll
okay,
be everything.
you're always good for a pensée. Um, are you serious? So I guess you are.
Now that I have a like 30-hour extra workload on my plate, you might need to just like call me and give me a heads up about, you know, goings on simply because I'm literally going to be buried in work. That was my solution to
Oh yeah.
dropping
Well,
out of the rave scene.
oh yeah. Well.
Yeah.
God bless you, Oceana, and that's great. So we'll be we'll be talking. I'm so congratulations on your job.
I mean, I figured burying myself in work was the smartest thing I could have done to keep myself distracted.
That is extremely intelligent of you. You're a very intelligent person. So God bless you, and
Yeah,
I love you.
I
We're
thought yeah,
yeah.
I thought that when I said I was buried in work, I was a little bit clearer. I guess I wasn't simply because I was up until 7 a.m. completing the work
Oh,
because of
I know. Believe me, and I
yeah,
it's all good. I'm just having to deal with all
yeah.
this, coordinating like more than
I don't
100 authors and six
I honestly
six
don't know.
anthologies.
Yeah, I honestly don't know how you do it. Like, one of my friends, I'm actually like, as part of the work that I'm working with him, because
Yeah,
he also recently dropped out of the rave scene as well. I'm teaching him how to do PR. I'm teaching him how to compile like blogger emails and
yeah.
everything. I am so proud of him, but it actually like took time to just like coordinate that alone. And you have like 50 million people that you coordinate with. It's like freaking
Yeah,
Mensa.
I know,
Oh my
right?
God,
I
like don't
was I
even get
was
me
like,
started over here.
oh, okay. So I wrote press releases for the publicist of Lemmy and Marilyn Manson.
I remember your stories about that publicist. They
Yes,
sound wild.
they sound wild. Yeah, I mean, talk
Mhm.
about, when we'll be talking about like, the time I spent at the night at the safe house, the Beverly Hills safe house of a professional international hitman who tried to groom me to be an assassin, and I was like, and it just sort of makes me think of Apocalypse Now, and they call me an assassin. Right? And they call me and he was like showing me this police 357 Magnum. It's like, and he's this Polish guy, right? It's like, this is you're a very intelligent professor, Usually we just have porn stars, right? And we have, oh my fucking
I know
God.
this thing.
Are we, are we like recording? Like this
Yeah.
would be just my
Yeah.
luck if I stop recording. And we
she's on.
have like fucking Jennfer Tasker. Okay.
Hey,
So, oh my
excuse me.
gosh. We have Jennfer
Hello.
Tasker in the house. So welcome to the Smol Bear Show. We're all such enormous fans of yours. I've been doing a little bit of a, retrospective deep dive on your history. I don't even know where to start. This is just crazy. I mean, you guys had airplay from like John Peel,
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
right? You
He
were
was
on,
quite a fan, actually.
I'm sorry?
He was quite the fan, actually, liked us.
I mean, for the one or two people who follow our show and don't know who John Peel is, the guy discovered Joy Division. Okay,
Yeah.
fucking discovered Joy Division. So that right there should be just a huge. I have to, Jen, and I'm sorry, and I think you'll probably appreciate why I need to preface this, because I was about to talk about what we our latest publication. I think you'll really appreciate this, and
I'm gonna roll out here.
okay.
I've had an enjoyable morning.
We love you,
Good to
and
see you.
a big squeezy hug. And Jennfer,
All right,
if you could
I'm
join
using
us,
one hand to squeezing with.
a squeezy
What is it?
hug
What is the sound of one
with-
hand
with-
squeezing?
Are You
All right.
Serious? The founder of Mondo 2000 magazine, Ossiana Tepfenhart, the founder of Last News on the Left, one of the most influential people in the literally in the fucking world, and Alea Celeste Williams, who's a collaborator with us on Thunderstruck, a dark poetry collection, which got a rave review in Cemetery Dance magazine.
Oh, well, it's good meeting you vaguely, sort of.
Nice
All
to
right,
meet
you
you.
guys have a great time.
You too, my friend. Take care. Okay,
Bye.
so we're going to be talking with Jennfer Tasker from not one but two legendary, heavy metal, extreme metal bands, but more than two. We're just gonna, hit the tip of the iceberg with Jen. But right before they do it, we haven't had a chance to talk about this book, which we just put out, special collector's edition. This is a special collector's edition of it's a book called White on White, a literary tribute to Bauhaus. And I just want people to savor the cover art was done. The cover art is done by our friend in the UK, a man named Adrian Baldwin, who does all the covers and the layout and design for Phantasmagoria magazine. Okay, Phantasmagoria magazine, which has featured the likes of Stephen King and Clive Barker. Phantasmagoria magazine is legendary. It was started by our friend Trent Reznor. Well, we're going to be talking about Trent Reznor, but our friend Trevor Kennedy, right, in Belfast, right? And so shout out to Trevor Kennedy in Belfast, Ireland. And this book it came about because our next book that we're putting out from Nocturnicorn Books is called Just One Fix, a literary salute to William S. Burroughs. one of the authors in this book is none other than David J. Haskins. And for anybody who's a regular, we only have like 20 people who watch the show, but it's sort of like they said about the Sex Pistols, right? There was like 100 people showed up for the Sex Pistols first show, but they all went on to form bands. I feel like that about Nocturnicorn books. Very few people actually watch the show, but the people who do are incredible. And they are some of the most influential people on the planet, literally. So a guy named David J. Haskins was the founder member of not one, but two bands that in the history of music, in the annals of music, will always be remembered as immortal Bauhaus and Love and Rockets. Okay. And he's done a lot of different collaborations, and with people like our friend Jeremy Reed, but I approached David through his website about my Bauhaus book, and not about my Bauhaus, but the William S. Burroughs tribute, and said, I'm a friend of Jeremy Reed. We'd been talking about collaborating with Jeremy, and maybe you might. I know David is a self-described Burroughs obsessive, right? So a lot of and if you listen to a lot of Bauhaus, lyrics, a lot of the Bauhaus lyrics are just plain cut-ups, including, arguably his most famous, okay, this is his most famous song, the song that inaugurated goth, Bela Lugosi's Dead. Yeah, so this is the man who wrote Bela Lugosi's Dead. And 2 days later, after I contacted him, he emailed me back, and he says, with an original poem called El Hombre Invisible for Joan Volmore Burroughs. And it was, and he said, well, let's do. It's like, very, very nice to meet you. Good that you're a friend of Jeremy's. And at that point, Jeremy was going to be contributing to the book, right? And so unfortunately, Jeremy his health is not doing too well. While I'm talking, I'm going to show you something else. I've shown this on the previous show. This is an original copy of the Poppy Z. Bright's Purple Prose fanzine from 1997. And people who don't know who Poppy Z. Bright is, damn, they haven't been,
Where are they?
Where
Are they
have
under
they
a
been?
rock?
Have they been under a rock? So I am a current friend, dear friend of Billy Martin, aka Poppy Z. Bright. And I had interviewed her friend and collaborator Krista Faust, previously at the spurring of, Craig Spector of, Skip and Spector fame, who said, you got to talk to Krista Faust, right? And at this point, I had no idea who Krista Faust might be. I later introduced Krista Faust to Thomas Roche. And so then, so I published this interview with Poppy Z. Bright, and when I was a contributing author to Death Realm magazine. And also, I did interviews with Nancy Kilpatrick, and more recently, John Shirley and Caitlin R. Kiernan, but that's to anticipate. And this on the other facing page was R.I.P., which is a kind of a necrophiliac fantasy about William S. Burroughs fucking his corpse, basically. It's one of the most transgressive pieces ever written. And so...
When your groupies are that dedicated.
Right, exactly.
You don't even have to be alive to get laid, man. Come on.
What? It's a really clever. So what makes this book even really incredibly relevant to Jennfer is that it has contributions from well, for one thing, okay, so this is about 3 years ago. I got a friend request from somebody named Kari Lee Krome on Facebook, right? Kari Lee Krome. And I said, oh, are you sure you've got the right person? Because I wasn't even under my own name.
Hmm.
And she said, no, I definitely wanted to friend request you. I said, well, this is not actually my real name. I'm actually a music journalist, and I'm a huge fan of the band you started, a little band called
The Runaways.
The Runaways, right? The Runaways, right? Without whom, generations of girls and women, we got the Pretty Reckless out of the Runaways. We got the Go-Go's out of the Runaways. Pretty sure, there's a little Runaways DNA in Defenestration and Thracia, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I think I think as well, like in Britain, it is a very small space. So
Right.
small that actually I live in Northampton where Bauhaus were formed.
Oh, wow.
So,
Oh, that's
yeah,
right.
like,
That's
yes.
another connection right there. So,
Yes.
Is it something in the water over there? Are all you guys geniuses?
well, I didn't even put
Central
that
America.
together. That's incredible. We also have, a Haskins collaborator. Actually, we have two Haskins collaborators, David Haskins, at any rate. I love being able to say that, right? Let's just savor that, right? A woman who was the co-leader of a little band called Swans, Jarboe is in this book, contributed the lyrics to The Lonely Voyeur, which is a fantastic song, right? We have an original song / poem by Kari Lee Krome, who wrote Waiting for the Night, California Paradise, and Secrets, among many other songs that are all over, the Runaways movie, starring, I love being able to say this. It's it's almost spiritual, starring Kristen Stewart and Dakota Fanning and Michael Shannon, right? And then we have original lyrics to a song that's a sequel to The Third Uncle by none other than Ethan Maroulis from Spawn Ranch, Black Tape for a Blue Girl, Noir, Vampire Rodents, and he worked for Cleopatra Records. The man is and he's a film noir expert, right? We have, okay, so here's another close friend of all of ours. I mean, I talk to Tara Vanflower every day, as a matter of fact, and she's amazing, really, really down to earth. We had her on the show, and Tara Vanflower, for the one or two people who never heard of the bands Lycia and Typo Negative. Okay, so just a big, squeezy hug and a warm shout out to our friend Tara Vanflower, who's a multiple contributor to our books, right? And talk about women in metal and dark wave and goth, and then I'll just, so we're always talking about this book. It's great. It's got a foreword by transgressive fiction icon Poppy Z. Bright, work by John Shirley, who's also in our Black Sabbath book, wrote an original story for our Black Sabbath book. Alea and Sandy DeLuca and Hazel Ann Lynch, who created Senior Fluffy, A Cat's Tale. And so, okay, so thank you. We just had to sort of like pay our bills there. We want people to buy this book, right? And now let's give a warm Smol Bear Show welcome to Jennfer Tasker. And so what can I say about Jennfer Tasker? The band Defenestration was founded in the 90s, I believe, right? In the 90s. And
yes, the back end of the 90s, yeah.
The back end of the 90s. And you had a very, very brief run where you played like 300 shows, right? With the
Yeah.
likes of what, Megadeth and you were touring with like who are some of the bands that you played out with originally?
Okay, we toured with Napalm Death.
Napalm
'Cause we
Death,
were,
right?
yeah, we
Napalm
were
Death.
label, yeah, no, label mates with them. Really nice blokes. Um, yeah, we toured with Therapy, the Northern Irish
Therapy.
band, legends again, amazing. Um, we did various different tours. We did a tour with Will Haven. We toured with Raging Speedhorn, which is a band that's kind of local to us.
And
Sorry, my
what wasn't that founded by one of the members of Defenestration? Or
no, so we there was our guitarist did spend some time in Raging Speedhorn
oh, okay.
after and during and after Defenestration's first run. So yeah, they was we were sort of from similar towns. So like, and you know, like in England, when we say like the next town over, we're talking like you could walk it. Like it's like it's
Yeah.
not like in America.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and also you got there was a documentary that was made about your tour of schools, which I thought was extremely interesting. What was that all about?
That was absolutely a bit. It was just a bit unhinged, if I'm honest.
Okay.
I don't even know. It was back in the days when there was MTV2, and they did a documentary following us, and they actually came, and three of us went to the school that featured in the documentary, and we did a whole week of tours at British schools, and it was absolutely bizarre. Like, there was a couple of times where we turned up and it was like a school assembly and they were all just sitting there in chairs. And it was just the weirdest thing. One of the weirdest things we ever did. But apparently we were the first British metal band to do it. So
That's absolutely incredible. So you guys were like on you got MTV Airplay, right? You had you were on the BBC One. You toured with like Megadeth, but Napalm Death, and so more recently, and then the band played about 300 shows, and then you guys went your separate ways for some reason, right?
yeah,
Around 2003 or so.
2004, I think it was. Yeah.
2004, yeah. And
Yeah.
then last year, you sort of had a one-off reunion because of your producer. It was Ray. Was it Ray?
It was Russ Russell.
Russ Russell. Yeah.
Yeah. So Russ Russell was he produced the first album, and he's done some quite like legendary metal and rock bands. He's an amazing man, but he's from our hometown as well. So when he's not been well, and people were putting gigs together to help him and his family out, and it's probably the only thing that would have actually got us back together from my point of view anyway.
Yeah.
So it was like, for the love of him we did it, but then actually found the love of the music again and each other, I guess.
That's so beautiful. One of the things I really love about that you're like, and this is something because I've been in metal since since I got turned on to bands like Cloister Cold and Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden when I was a teenager, and I'm old enough to remember when Maiden had a new singer, and it's this unknown, untried dude named Bruce Dickinson, and nobody was sure if he was going to fit in with the Maiden, And I actually interviewed him in person right when they were doing right before they did the reunion tour, and whenever that was, like 99 or so. And so as far as metal is concerned, new metal, well, I love Rage Against the Machine, right? I love Raging Against the Machine, and they were actually neighbors of ours in when I was living in LA. There was a place called the Arroyo Seco area, which is kind of, it's sort of northeast. It's like kind of East Los, right? And they had this bookstore called the Arroyo Bookstore, which my ex-wife used to go all the time. And actually, she had an affair with a guy who was a member of El M.A., the
Oh,
Mexican mafia,
wow.
and who was a friend of Rage Against the Machine,
Mhm.
so no love lost there. But that's how I knew. And they used to play benefits for, yeah, I went there.
Mm.
I went there. I didn't name names, but I went there, right? And they used to play, Rage used to play, benefits for this Arroyo bookstore, which is how I knew of them. They were locals. And then odd how that happens. And then I think of like Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park, right? Linkin Park, and but Defenestration also has this kind of a sludge doom crust core feeling to it. Also, your vocals remind me of our first the first person that we had on the cover of Juggernaut magazine was Karen Crisis, right? And
Mhm.
and she always has that, I called her the Exorcister in this, this interview I did with her. And you have that quality of, I'm addicted to your music. I was listening to, because I'm an addictive personality and I don't use drugs or alcohol, so I just work my ass off, right? And I listen to a lot of music that gets me through, like Ozzy, and
Mm.
and especially I've been listening to Stitch a whole bunch of times and
Yeah.
watching the video, and also listening to your early album, Something Drown Something Something, um, which was more like an EP, I think it was.
Yeah, that was our last release actually before we split up.
So, so now that you're kind of back together and you're going to be making new music, I hope.
Yeah, so we are going to be re-recording some of the older stuff. Not so much off the first album because we kind of like that the way it was, but the second, which is Ray Zero, and the one For Us It Ends When We Drown.
Yes.
We're going to do a selection of those, and that's purely about ownership because then they're ours again if we record them.
Right.
So we're taking advantage of the advances in technology and pretty much doing it ourselves. So we'll be sort of releasing those, but we have also started working on some new songs as well.
Oh my God. So one of the things, so you've got that punch. I mean, your vocals come in and they're soaring and they're melodic and they're beautiful, but then you get into like the growls, you got that thing. And I mean, I know that, like, I remember when I just interviewed Angela Gassa when she was with Arch Enemy for, I think it was Maniacs or Zero Tolerance. There's Zero Tolerance.
Yeah.
I also wrote for Zero Tolerance for a long time. Wasn't on the ground floor of Zero Tolerance. So shout out to Lisa Macy, right? And so it was really, really hard on Angela's whatever she got a node. She got a node in her vocal cords. So
Yeah.
so because she didn't know how to, and I also remember I was at a show with her, and I think Nile was playing and some of the other bands, and Arch Enemy and Hate, was it Hate Eternal? Was it Hate Eternal? Yeah, Hate Eternal, the guy from Morbid Angel, right? And so, and Angela got a note, and they had to bring in a doctor from Beverly Hills to give her a little zap. How do you take care of your voice?
Well, I mean, that's like a whole new ball game for me now. I'm older as well. So
Right.
I honestly, I think when I first started, the first time I sort of started singing, I used to be in choirs at school. So I learned like proper technique for singing. And I never really had any problems with the shouting thing. I don't know if it's because I had the right technique. I never really thought about it.
Right.
But then coming back to it after, so it's been about, it's at least about 10 years since I performed in any bands.
Right.
When we got back together. So I had to sort of like relearn it in a way. And I do have to take care of my voice a lot more now. I've got a bit of a sore throat today because I've had the worst virus ever, which my 5-year-old kindly shared with me.
Yeah.
Your kids setting fires? Mine too.
So like he's been really poorly with the virus, and I've had to have him in bed with me, and he's been coughing on my face.
Hope you feel better.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
But I think now I'm older, my voice has changed a bit. Like I think it's not quite as high as you get older. When you have a baby, your voice changes as well, apparently. So, but yeah, the shouting thing, it was like I almost kind of thought, I really freaked out about it at first. Like, am I going to be able to do it? And then sort of, it took a little while to find the comfort in it again, because it was like really feeling sore. But then I kind of found, and there's the benefit of lots of YouTube videos that help you do it now. So back then I just
awesome.
did it.
That's amazing. You know, that Jennfer, you know, Tasker herself, like, watches YouTubes like the rest of us. So you also have a very interesting and sort of somewhat counterintuitive day job. Could you tell me about that? You could tell our viewers about that.
Yes, I'm an art therapist or an art psychotherapist. So basically I help people with their mental health, and it's a form of psychotherapy where you use art making to aid with the process.
That's so cool. I always
I
thought that would be an interesting job.
Because
I love it, yeah.
Pickles here. Speaking of artists, you know, I am an artist, and I'm also and I'm probably going to draw you, Jennfer. So while we're talking, but Alea is a fantastic artist. Do you have Alea? Do you have some of your art that you could show the people?
Sure.
Don't worry, I won't analyze it. Everyone thinks that's what I do. I don't analyze that. It's fine.
No. We're not going to be asking to analyze.
It's so funny. It's so funny. That's what people think I do, but it's
okay.
But like, don't be
secret talent unlocked. I actually do this as a writing.
Oh, fantastic!
Oh, that's so beautiful, Ossiana. That's really great.
That looks like I have a very similar book, and it's similar vibes to that, I think.
I think that's beautiful, Jennfer. And I also think that, you know, art is really, like, I know that and it's like a lot of people that I know who are very creative, you know, a lot of us have been traumatized, and we for various, you know, I know, you know, Ossiana and Alea and myself, you know, for different reasons. And so using art, like I just started, I'll show you. Oh my God. See, this is one of her, isn't that incredible? Isn't that incredible?
Dude, that's beautiful.
Oh,
please tell me you got a couple of prints somewhere over there.
I would love to have some prints of this. My my technology over here kind of, my printer is not that great, so I don't know. But yeah, at some point I'd love to. Here's just one that I'm actually working on. I've been working on it for Alex. It's not finished yet, but it's just one little. It's kind of just like a weird, trippy, like flaming banjo thing that I don't know. I just came up with it for fun.
Get a scanner, because I want at least one of those on a cup of coffee.
A cup of coffee?
Yes.
A cup of coffee?
They're really nice. Wow.
That's beautiful. And yes, I'm sure you can probably guess what side of the coast I'm on.
Yeah,
Joycey, you're
yeah,
Joycey. You're in
very-
Joycey. You know who else was in well, I'm not going to talk about Lou Reed and shit, but I so anyway, see, isn't that incredible? Like that's her
That's incredible, man.
Yes.
portraits. Oh me, and I look
Amazing.
like I'm ancient.
Thank
I'm
you.
only 58 years old. I'm not even a senior citizen, you know. I'm just a
Dude,
small
you're
bear.
literally like just like 15 years older than me. So like
Right.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that incredible?
Kind of like
Yeah.
I've been into like kind of Native American inspired. This
Yeah.
is one's like I kind of well, we think I might be Delaware a little bit in our bloodline, so I kind of just did like a little bit of research on their
Mhm.
art and like like the significant spirit animals, and I just kind of came up with those designs, and
Yeah. See,
Amazing.
one of mine that I
you know,
recently finished.
Alea is brilliant.
But oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also like to do a lot of like life drawing. So a lot of my bigger stuff is down in the basement where I have like my a lot bigger like paintings and drawings that are huge. So these are just like some of my smaller ones. But
Small.
so I gotta ask, as somebody who's a lone wolf with their work usually,
Uh-huh.
what is it like being in a band? Like, are you guys just like best friends forever because of it, or like, is there squabbles, or what kind of dynamics is it to have like a whole band?
That's a really funny question because yeah, there was squabbles and stuff, but it is like a kind of weird sort of trauma bond. Like it's just I think because when you go out on tour, I mean, it was like we were young, we'd go out on tour and we'd come back to our hometown and people would go, "Oh, what have you been up to?" And we'd tell them and they would just like glaze over and not understand what it was like, and you'd feel just like drawn back to each other to sit in the corner and only understand each other in a way. And it's interesting talking about that because about about 4 years ago, the drummer Kieran, the fourth drummer of Defen, he we got in touch with each other and we started talking and we ended up married. So
Oh, congratulations. That's beautiful.
yes, when they sort of came to me to say, oh, how about doing a reform? Obviously, I was like, what do you reckon to my hubby? So yeah,
And you have a kid together.
well, he's stepdad, but
Oh,
yeah,
it's a stepdad. Okay.
he's stepdad, yeah.
What's
But yeah,
what's it like being a metal mom?
it's funny. I think it's funny because Kieran was not surprised that I was a therapist when he found that out after us not seeing each other or talking to each other. He
Sure.
wasn't surprised I was a therapist. He says I've always been a mum. I was like literally the band mum.
Wow.
And you kind of, I think when you're a female in a band of young men, you probably
Yeah.
do. Someone has to take that role. Unfortunately, I didn't even realize I was doing it, but apparently I was. But my little boy, he's kind of like, I think he just thinks it's normal for parents to be in a band because
Right.
it's just like, oh, mummy's in a band. Oh, mummy's doing that scary shout thing. Yeah, whatever.
You know, the late great Lemmy Kilmister, who I knew, who actually called me Teach.
Yeah.
He is really, because college professor. He actually he always said that, like, basically you're either fully dedicated to the road, or you're or you're not. And I think that's kind of, it wasn't even tongue in cheek from Lemmy, because he actually lived that sort of lifestyle, but he it was at a cost. And so
Yeah.
what are some of the pros and cons of being in in a touring band, and do you think that you're might be touring again?
I think honestly, it's not like it used to be. Like, because, you know, especially being a British band, we would literally just be going up and down the country,
Right.
playing gigs in front of all these. But now with the way social media is and the internet, it's not as essential to do that now.
Right.
And most venues are like interested in how many views you've got or how many streams you've got and things like that, rather than how many gigs you've played, which is good because I can't physically be a touring person who's also a parent and a business owner.
Right.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously my priority is my little one.
Of course.
So yeah, I think it's kind of, yeah, the priorities have shifted, definitely. But it's nice to be able to just play some gigs and, you know, record some music and have fun with it, really, because yeah, I mean, it was fun back then, but there's no way I'm sleeping in the back of a transit van again. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Too old for that now.
I mean, there's so much to cover, but what are you are very much of a role model for, you know, up and coming, you know, girls and women who want to get into rock and roll and heavy metal. And what is some advice that you would give, you know, some of our viewers who are, you know, up and coming? Like, for example, we have I think what's well, we have a lot of really established friends who are in metal, but, you know, our viewers who are, you know, women, you know, who want to get started in music. What's some advice you could give them?
Oh my God. I mean, it's so strange because I was sort of, when in the late 90s, I was a teenager. So when we started Defenestration, I was a teenager and I was very young adult.
Right.
And I think, you know, I think the world has changed, but it hasn't so much as well.
Right.
And it still is very male dominated.
Sure.
Like revisiting those songs and those lyrics, it was like, and it's, especially now I'm a therapist, made me sort of feel this sense of like mothering that child that had to go through all that sexism. And I think, you know, people have asked me about this and about sort of what I would tell, you know, young women.
Right.
And I think what I would tell them is, just don't stand for any shit. Don't stand for any shit from men. And if you struggle with that, just come to Mama Jen,
right,
and I'll sort it out for you, because I'm ready now. I'm seasoned. I'm comfortable in myself. I'm an adult. I'm a mother, and I just like wish that I could go back and just like punch some people in the face.
Right on.
No, we're not standing for this, because I think I did put up with a lot that I shouldn't have put up with, if I'm honest. So yeah, I think absolutely, I'd say there is no reason why you can't do as good a job as anyone, any man, anything. So don't stand for anything less.
Right. I mean,
that's incredible.
I love that. I love that so much. Do you find who writes the lyrics?
So I write the lyrics.
You write the lyrics, so they're amazing. I've been, as a poet myself, I'm really so you wrote Stitch. That is an incredible song. I mean, it's just one song. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, because the lyrics are very, you know, they're very evocative, but they're not literal. So it could, you know, like any great art, you could put a lot of different interpretations. So could you tell me a little bit about how you came up with the lyrics to Stitch?
Well, so I think, and again, this is something that I've kind of grown to realize about myself.
Sure.
You know, I did sort of suffer with various different traumas as a teenager. being in an abusive relationship and various other things. And I kind of used the songs to write about that, but in a way that I felt was safe. So behind metaphor and things like that. And a lot of it is, and I think I almost didn't like realize that until actually I went back to the songs now and had to kind of remind myself of the lyrics, because like I'm like, it's been a while. I've been to uni twice. I've had a baby. My brain's, I don't remember this. So I had to like relearn my lyrics, even though it sort of came back to me. And then it was actually like, I had to talk to my own therapist about it, because I was like, this is really traumatic, because I know now more about, you know, what that was all about. And it kind of made me feel really sad, but now I feel kind of empowered by it. So yeah, I think Stitch was about sort of childhood experiences and it was just the uncomfortableness of me wanting to get it out, but hiding it at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, well, I'm just, because I would love to, if you would consider it, like, you know, to join our family as far as being a contributor to Nocturnicorn Books. We have forthcoming, we have we're doing a literary tribute to the Sisters of Mercy. And you know, and I would love to have something from you. It could be like Jarboe, you know, like just give us permission to use a song, you know, you know, or a lyric.
Yeah, I'd be delighted.
Oh,
I'd
lovely.
really love that.
Incredible. That's so amazing. So, oh my gosh. That means the world to me. Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Like,
right?
I have a huge question for Jen, because like
Sure.
Alex knows that I'm writing a manuscript, and that manuscript, Alex, you've read it.
Yes.
Is it not like one of the most intense things that you've read?
I describe it as makes Last Exit to Brooklyn look like, you know, the Mickey Mouse Club.
And here's the thing, like this is actually like a long this is like actually a major trivia point about this upcoming novel. It is fiction, but apparently it's gotten so real sounding that Alex was actually ready to drop it, because he was like, this is a liability. This sounds a little bit too real. And one of the other people who I had test read it actually ended up having to go to the hospital with a severe panic attack from what I wrote in it. And as you can imagine, like, some of it is actually based on the life I lived when I was in my early 20s. And like, now that I'm hearing how you're like reconnecting with that trauma and how it's like propelling your artwork forward, do you have any advice for somebody who's also trying to do that, but actually wants to keep what little shards of sanity they have, like, you know, piled up on the floor over there?
I would say therapy, having a therapist. I really would. Like, I think, to be honest, over in the US, you tend to, therapy is normalized there. I mean, here, like, if you go, I'm in therapy, people go, why? What's wrong? But actually, like, I think even if you just have a couple of sessions with a therapist, I think it's really good to like talk those things out. And, you know, it's my sort of professional responsibility to look after my own mental health so that I can look after others. So I do see a therapist, and it was really useful for me to sort of untangle those, you know, those feelings, and rather than getting scared and re-traumatized, actually sort of becoming like my own therapist for that younger me, and looking sort of, yeah, it's kind of been a really healing thing for me. But yeah, I'd say have a therapy session or two. It really works.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm gonna have to write a letter of condolences to my therapist, but okay, I guess I can do that.
on a related note, closely related note. So we have a friend named Dr. Lois Lee, and she's the founder of a nonprofit organization called Children of the Night Incorporated, and she does which works, you know, with children young people who have been sex trafficked and sold into prostitution and child pornography, and which is the bane of the civilized world. And she's our official partner for the Black Sabbath tribute anthology, which we're about to put out. And actually, Jennfer, would you have something for us? Like, would you have something? I don't know if you're a fan of Sabbath, but most people who are metal people.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Sabbath. Our guitarist, one of them in particular, was. You can tell, especially on that first album, that there's some nearly rip-offs of Sabbath
Right?
riffs.
Yes.
We're not from far down the road, to be honest, from there. So
yeah. So I would love something from you, and again, it could be a reprint. This all goes to charity. It also goes to Dr. Lois Lee, and so we're doing this book, and Alea's in it, Ossiana is in it. Everybody from two-time. Okay, I love reciting this. Bram Stoker award-winning author of books like Wet Bones and City Came a Walking, a songwriter for a little band called Blue Oyster Cult. He wrote the screenplay to the movie The Crow. Our friend and frequent contributor John Shirley wrote an original story for this anthology. We also have about 6 Bram Stoker award-winning authors, as well as Lucifer Fulci from the bands Penis Flytrap and Lords of October. I believe that they're currently on tour with a warm shout out to David St. Eyre, aka Lucifer Fulci of Lords of October. Good pal of mine, and they're currently on tour, I believe, with Venom Incorporated. So those are just some of the people who are in the book. We have Anna Taborska, who's like a 5-time, who's also in England. Maybe you and Anna Taborska, I'll hook you up by email, right? Who's an amazing human rights activist. She works with the BBC. She's a documentary filmmaker. She's also made some shows for the wrote a movie. I believe it directed a movie with the guy from Blade Runner, Rutger Hauer, and she's also a 5-time Bram Stoker Award nominated author, and she calls herself my pal. And Anna Taborska, I love you so much. She's also contributed to our Motorhead tribute anthology. Just a warm, squeezy hug and shout out to Anna Taborska. I love you. I love you. I love you.
You, Anna.
I love you, Anna, so much. So we have Paul M. Salmon, who was, among many other things, he wrote an original story for us. The guy was the editor of this book, Splatterpunk's Extreme Horror, which was for St. Martin's Press, which is the foundational Splatterpunk. It was the best Splatterpunks anthology, and it's it has work by people that some of your country people, such as a guy named Clive Barker. It's got John Skip, Douglas F. Winter, Wayne Allen Sally, who I collaborated with on a novel, Nancy Collins. Let's see, Rex Miller. He's also made movies. He was a special effects guy on RoboCop 2, and he knows everybody. He was a personal friend of Philip K. Dick. And he also wrote the book Future Noir, The Making of Blade Runner. So that's Paul M. Salmon. Talk to him all the time, man. You know, and
See you in hell.
in case people think that I'm just showing off or bragging, you know, I work my ass off, man. I've worked for 40 years around the clock to be where I am, you know.
Mm.
And so, and I really love my job. I have the best job. And so, so my next question for you, Jennfer, is you played Wembley Stadium, I think with Cradle of Filth, if I'm not mistaken, and Slayer, right?
It was Wembley Arena.
Wembley
So
Arena,
not-
I'm sorry. Wembley
Not quite as
Arena,
big.
yeah.
Not quite as big, but
Right.
yeah, that was it was a chain of events that kind of led to that happening. So
Uh-huh.
so it sort of fell into place. So the first thing was we had signed to an agent, and that agent was going to move to a bigger agency but take all his acts with
Oh,
him.
right, yeah,
The first thing that happened. And then 9/11 happened.
right.
So a lot of the bands that from America weren't going to come over because it was shortly after that.
Sure.
So they needed to fill the bill. So we ended up being asked to open. It was the Tattoo the Planet, headlined by Slayer,
Yes.
and
Can,
yeah,
can
we
we just give a sort of a you know, a we're not worthy metal. I know all metal people are all fans of, you know, we're all fans, right? Slayer,
Yes.
right? Slayer.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. You played out with Slayer.
Yes. And I think it was kind of humorous in the way that we were the only band that turned up in a van because everyone had got like 4 buses, and I genuinely remember saying this stage is about as big as the venues we're used to playing. So it was the whole stage. Like this is
Entire
like
stage.
the size of the whole venue.
Yeah.
So it was I was incredibly nervous. I was 19. And the only other teenage girl to have played on that stage was Britney Spears.
Whoops,
at
you
that
did it
point.
again though, right?
So I was just like, what? And then, but I was incredibly nervous. And Russ Russell and Simon FME,
Yeah.
who produced the first album, did our sound engineering for us.
Oh, nice.
And told us, on this kind of size PA, every little mistake you make is going to be a big mistake.
Wow.
So don't make mistakes. And it was terrifying.
That is scary.
So when you say it wasn't as big as Wembley Stadium, how big are we talking about?
I'm not sure what the capacity. I don't even know if that as it was then. I think it might have been knocked down and rebuilt. I'm not sure. But
right, but
there was
roughly, like, because you had Slayer. So
yeah. So I think it might have been a capacity of 15,000 maybe.
15, a mare.
I have no idea. It's so hard when it gets to a point. Yeah. So I think when we played, there was probably 8,000 people there because we were like first band on.
Oh yeah.
It was the biggest crowd we'd played to. And it was, like I said, it was very strange. I just remember that we brought our parents to come and see us. And I just remember like looking at them and waving like I was in a school play or something. I was only little.
So now in the as you've you know referenced, you're now in the era of streaming and, you know, digital and all these different platforms. How do you get the word out about, you know, new? I know that Bitter Edge and your guy at Bitter Edge, Kelly is no, it's
Sam, yeah. Sam Wallace, yeah.
Yes, Sam, you know, who's been amazing. That you know, I see that you've done a lot of shows recently. So, but how do you get the word out about new music, and how can we at the Smol Bear Show and Nocturnicon Books help promote your work?
I mean, I think it is all about social media now.
Yeah.
I say I think because like I'm completely out of the loop when it comes to music industry at this point. But from what I can see, a lot of it's about social media. So
Yeah.
and when we split up, I'm not even sure if MySpace was really that big.
Right.
I don't even know if it was there. It was 2004. We didn't really have that kind of thing. So I think maybe we had a Yahoo fan group that my brother set up.
Oh, okay.
I
Keep it in the
think that's
family.
about
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think now we as soon as we did the first gig, we got an Instagram and then put a load of old stuff on there, and now we've got Facebook and a TikTok. And yeah, I guess it's doing that, but it just takes a lot of time, doesn't it? Social media stuff.
It sure
Yeah,
does.
that's why we've got Sam helping us.
And then we have our resident in-house social media expert, internationally famous, influencer, Ossiana Tepfenhart. So Ossiana, how can we help, promote this amazing legendary band?
So like 90% of it is going to be social media, as you said. Having Instagram ads with like clips from your old shows is like 90% of the way to do it. If you have music videos, now is the time to actually get advertising geared towards them on YouTube. I actually found a couple of bands I really like via advertising on YouTube. And the important thing here is that they had those little plates, those little screens where they actually said the name of the song and the band. Those that didn't do that, I was like, this is such a good song. And I was like, I just scanned the YouTube QR code and it's doing diddly squat. It's telling me that it's by some random guy in California. It's an old girl band. This does not sound right.
Also, I wanted to mention that these bands have multi-generational fan base. I mean, if something like me who's older than than shit, when I started out when I was 14 years old, I was into like bands like we didn't even have heavy metal per se, right? We had hard rock. You had there wasn't all these. I just remember when bands like initially I think it started with Motorhead and Judas Priest, and then you had the new wave of British heavy metal, right? And there was a snowball effect with magazines like Metal Maniacs really bringing people together with tape trading, right? In the back columns of the classified section of Metal Maniacs, right, which started in the early 80s, and you had bands like Metallica and Rotting Christ, and they all met each other way pre-internet, pre-anything, right, in the back pages of Maniacs, and shout out to Liz Cavarella. I never know how to pronounce her name because I keep mixing it up with the guy from Sepultura and Cavalera, right? Anyway, Liz. And so like for the multi-generational fans, like I interviewed Mercedes, from Kitty, Mercedes Lander from Kitty. I'm into all the bands, starting out from Priest and Scorpions and all those, to the present. How are you doing outreach for those of us who are even older than you? I mean, you're not old, really.
Well, that's the thing. I think what you're saying about the multi-generational thing, I think originally, like we did that by doing the gigs, because we would have gigs like with bands like Megadeth, which were older fans, and some of them hated us but some of them actually liked us. So then we'd get older fans, and then they'd be we'd be playing gigs at sort of venues that were like for teenagers essentially.
Right.
And we'd have sort of younger fans there, and it really, I mean, it's made me feel old a couple of times recently at gigs, because there was a young fan that came with a copy of One Inch God, asked us all to sign it, and said he was a really big fan, and he was actually younger than the album.
Holy
So
smokes.
I was just like, oh my goodness. So yeah, I think it depends who we're playing with. I mean, we've got some gigs coming up with some like there's I guess he's a solo, but he has a band, but he's called Kid Bookie, and he does
Bookie.
It's like grime metal. So grime being like London-y hip hop, I guess. Like,
I love it.
So very, very different crowd for us. So that's going to be really fun and interesting, because I think really the way we reach different people is playing with different bands from different generations. That there's so many bands from the era that we were about that are reforming at the moment in America and in the UK. So to play some of gigs with them, it's a big nostalgia thing as well. So
Ossiana, okay, Ossiana stepped out and she's back again. They are back again.
Yeah, I had a little bit of technical issues.
Okay.
But I wanted to give you another heads up that might work specifically for you because you're a metal artist. Now, my husband is a DJ. He actually has the show that I have to drive him to next week. I'm not going to be participating in anything. I just want to drop him off and leave. Like, I'll take like 1 or 2 photos because nightlife photos look cute, but I just don't want to be there. But the one thing that I've learned about band promotions is that the best thing that you can do is to talk to band promoters. Like, I know that in nightlife, specifically like hardstyle, dubstep, stuff like that, becoming friends with your local party promoters gets you a lot more shows, and it also gets you a lot more buzz. I have no reason to believe that it's not the same with the local metal scene. And unfortunately, I know this is going to sound bad, and please forgive me, Jen, because you know just as well as I do a very sad truth about the music industry as a whole. Your husband befriending them is going to mean a lot more than you befriending them.
yeah.
It's all about networking, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know. Yeah, it's just, it sucks though, doesn't it?
It does.
It does. Yeah. But the thing is, I mean, it's the UK is a strange place because it is tiny. It is tiny, and everywhere's close, and we lived right in the middle. So you can pretty much get to most major cities within a couple of hours, which was handy. So yeah, when we're talking local, it's like, you know, locals like could be quite a lot of places really.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at the moment, like, you know, people don't know who we are, understandably. Like, you know, there's all these people that are working as promoters now who like, who, like, because it's been 20 years, you know, and that's like completely what I expected. In fact, it's when people come to me and say, oh, I remember you and you're one of my favorite bands. That's when I get really like, what? That surprises me. But it's like when people go, you don't know who you are. I'm like, well, of course you don't. We've been away for 20 years.
Exactly. Who
Yeah.
who do you consider, you know, like some of your like bands that your mates that you can rely upon, you know, that aren't weird?
Oh, aren't weird. Sorry.
That aren't.
No,
What I mean is, like, you know, like there's always bands. Like for me, it's like I've interviewed hundreds of artists, and you know, Danny Phil stands out as being kind of a dick. You know, so there's always. I'm sorry. but it's just how it is.
No,
There's
it's
a
fine.
there's a reason that he
Platform one,
goes
pardon
through.
me.
Yeah, that he goes through so many, band members, and we were going to have, Sarah Jezebel Diva on the show, but well, there was a whole thing with the controversy among some of the female members of Cradle of Filth, and they didn't want to be on the show together, and I highly suspect shenanigans. So, but
Yeah.
he's the only person, I mean, as I was, I mean, I wouldn't say mates with Lemmy, but he did nickname me. And the guys from like Hate Eternal, Cannibal Corpse, Alex Webster, King Diamond, right, is a beautiful, beautiful man. Kim Bendix and what is it? Kim Bendix Peterson is a beautiful man, and they're all such lovely people. So who are the people for you who have just always been there for you and supported you, and you would, like, who are your mates out there?
I mean, I guess we've often got sort of put in the same box, the same area, the same sentence as Raging Speedhorn.
Yes.
We were their support band on their first album tour. We've known them, like some of the members of the band, known them since they were kids.
Wow.
So there's a lot of history there. I mean, yes, they're still weird.
Yeah, that's not a pejorative from my perspective.
But I guess, and obviously the first gig that we did as our reunion gig was with them.
Yeah.
So I suppose they've always been like a presence.
Right.
But like, I think we did our first European tour with Therapy, and they really sort of looked after us.
Yeah.
And they took lots of bands out on their first European tour. They took Ash and Garbage and bands like that out on their first European tour back in the day.
Wait a minute.
I love Garbage.
Slow down. Garbage, as in, what's her name?
Shirley Manson.
Shirley Manson, as in what the theme song to one of the James Bond films.
Yes.
Not enough.
Yes. They did their first European tour with Therapy headlining. So yeah, they kind of they took us under their wing, and they were just they looked after us. They were so nice.
Oh, that's so.
That makes me so unbelievably happy. I love that band.
Yeah.
So finding out that they're good people, I'm just like,
they are some of the nicest people. Honestly, there's you can't fault them. Every single one of them.
I believe they did a song with Ozzy, right?
They may have.
I'm positive. I'm almost positive.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, they are just legends.
Yeah. I would love to see. I wonder if well, they're not really very active anymore, but I like a dream that's for me, because I'm all about the networking, like Ossiana, I'm all about the networking, and Pickles teases me a lot because of this. I have like, how many thousands of friends do I have? But it's all to promote my family. I'm an only child, right? And but I would really love to hook you up with some of our authors who are also writers, like Tara Vanflower, who does all the lyrics for a lot of the lyrics for Lycia, which is really more Michael Van Portfleet's thing, and she always defers to her husband, Mike. But as a solo, like performance, she's also a incredible author as well. I just give a shout out to Tara Vanflower, because I have this book. I love to do this, and Ossiana, loves the show and tell segment of our show, where I show off Tara Vanflower's Violent Violet. This is a hardcover, and it's a beautiful, beautiful. Did she do like cover art as well? I mean, let me see. who did the cover. To the characters who come to me in the sideways realm. Right. And that
Ooh.
is right. And then it's a beautiful, beautiful person. We're very fortunate to be friends with Tara. And I would love to see like a dream gig would be like, Defenestration and then like having Lycia, because they toured with Typo Negative, right?
Yeah.
And so I always like to hook people up together. And so anyway, so for like what are could you give us maybe a I know. Could I get you to, this is a little different because a lot of our authors are, they're musicians as well, and their contributions could equally be a song or a poem. Could I get you to recite one of your lyrics
Oh my God.
as a poem?
I'm trying to think which one. Okay. I've got them written down because like if I try to recite it, I'll sing it or forget it.
Well, I wouldn't mind an a cappella, but yeah.
It would, but like with the virus, I haven't seen.
Oh yeah.
Where did I put my? I've got it in here somewhere. My book of lyrics. Where did I put it? Okay. I'm normally pretty organized with things, but I don't know where I've put it. Oh, hang on, is it in here?
Don't worry, I never am.
Oh, no, it's okay. I think I've got it. So, I have all like the songs that we've kind of. I had to put the lyrics down because, like I said, I've had so much other stuff in my brain since then. It did come back to me, but interestingly, lots of people had put the lyrics online. So I looked at what they'd put and then I'd sing it and then I'd be like, no, that's not right. But most of it was actually really spot on. So somebody took the time to do that.
That's important.
It's interesting, like there's a song from the second album called Dust Film. And I don't know if I really knew I don't know if I even really knew what I was writing about at the time, but I now know it is like a post-traumatic stress thing. So it and I can read it to you if you want.
Absolutely, I would love that.
Okay. The stance will fall off, originate of, I just don't know. Where is it all from? Close your eyes and it's gone. Uneven flow. Counteract my fear. Turn around, it's near. Dust film that won't go away. Fell away from my shell and reasons why. The secrets bring on the rain. And then it kind of repeats itself. So yeah, it basically that part, like it's essentially talking about this kind of thing, that this film of dust that's just coating everything. So it's like the trauma and the darkness that literally taints everything. You know how dust just gets everywhere.
Yeah.
And like occasionally you can distract yourself from it, but then it's always there when you sort of undistract yourself. So yeah, it was kind of a way of sort of saying, yeah, there's something not right, and it's always there, but I don't think I really understood it fully until I revisited it as even though I was an adult then, as an older adult, as a grown up.
That's really beautiful. I think it's so amazing that all of us, again, and this bears repeating, is that we've used art to essentially, heal ourselves. And Alea and I are in ongoing, conversation, which we've, started 3 years ago, right? Around the clock, sometimes, often, we talk about healing, and we're healing one another through art and through our collaborations and through all our beautiful people that we've come to, to bring into our extended family here. And I'm always very suspicious of people who use terms like family, because aren't you a business, Alex? Aren't you in here to make money? Yes, of course. I mean, I think that's a given, right? We're here, we don't we're here to, not just break even, but to dominate the market. With our metal, with our beautiful, stories and poems and everything else, right? But why are we alive, right? We're not here to make fucking money, Anybody can make money. Elon Musk, right? And Donald Trump, right? Actually, they're huge losers of money. They're not successful business people. They're awful business people. They don't know they don't know shit about making money, right? Anyway,
The dude
that's what.
bankrupted like 5 casinos.
Okay, he bankrupted 5 casinos, right?
You know how you make money off a casino?
Right.
You inhale like oxygen and then you exhale
Exhale
carbon dioxide.
carbon dioxide. Okay. So if y'all don't mind, Jennfer, thank you so much. That's amazing. That's amazing. I would like to read a poem by Tara Vanflower, and then I would like Alea to read whatever she wants.
Okay.
Okay. So this is Death My Love by Tara Vanflower of Lycia, whose fans include Trent Reznor. Okay. And she's like, Tara always says, I'm no respecter of persons. I don't care, but I will support anybody, right? Tara is very down to earth and very supportive. So I wanted to read this as one of many original pieces that was written specifically for this book by Tara Vanflower. It's called Death My Love. This is available on Amazon and hardcover, paperback, and Kindle. And tall lines of autumn birch, fingers crack like branches and break, bleached bone, limbs at wrong angles, milk skin, and ice light eyes. Black shock, pain, and contort. Ashen flesh of carnival barkers, pantomime phantoms. Death's embrace, we dance like the dead in full grave regalia, crushed lips and crushed bones, the dust of time and flower mocking ancient ritual time, step, skip, and bow. Weave the silver strands of time and all things gone. A whisper of love, a breath of some kind of magic. Hide in the hollow, blinking red lights. Reflect our flashlight bleached, a sparkle of some memory. There's dust on the floor, dust on every dead thing, powdered and made up. Death's pallor. Hide in the light. Black shadows camouflaged a memory of us, young and alive, of fire and vibrant. Those purple blue flowers and spire of smoke. Dreams of something more than this. Wisps of white cloth, blood-soaked kisses, twins in memory, time stopped for breath. We hold fire in our hearts as we dance for death. That is, I mean,
I could felt like I could almost see and hear and smell and taste that poem.
exactly. It's very, very strong synesthetic quality. And I think, I would definitely love to see you and Tara and Mike Van Portley maybe doing something together, because she's all about the collaboration. It's actually more as a solo artist, so I will definitely hook you guys up on email, and that would be incredible. Maybe you could do, like perform one another's music, right? And so Alea, I would love for you to recite anything you want. I mean, we could do like I always Alea wrote one of my favorite poems of all time. This was the first time anybody ever wrote a song specifically for me. And this begs to be performed by, I keep hoping that a metal band will perform some of our songs. Hint, hint. Like Mistress of Graves or, Pontiff of Shadows. They're extremely metal songs. But anyway, we have Jennfer Tasker in the house of Defenestration and Thracia. Hint, hint. So anyway, Alea, could you please? Could you please?
Yeah, let me go. I'm gonna. I'll go grab something. It's gonna be something a little bit different. Give me 1 minute.
But could you do Blood Red though?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I just want. Yeah. This is it's a kind of like a Well, it's not hip hop. It's death hop. Right.
Okay.
And I was having a hell of a time, and some people are so jellies of me that they literally wanted to fucking kill me. I got a lot of death threats, and so I was going through some tough times, and I also have a brain disease, which is not fun. So Pickles wrote me something to cheer me up, to give my to lighten my load, as it were, so to speak. That's what she wanted, or that's what he wanted, actually. Sorry. This is a company I keep, right? That's what he wanted.
Yeah, and sorry about the vulgarities. I don't typically write stuff like this, but there was a lot of really vulgar rap music being played around me at the time, and so it was that was part of my influence, as well as Bela Lugosi's dead, and just trying to help Alex out.
And Richard Pryor, right? Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor routine.
Pryor is part of that too. So yeah. Okay. Upset. No between upset. Yes, we heard what you said. Dead yet. No between dead yet. No, I'm not upset. Dead yet. No bitch, I ain't dead yet. Yes, I heard what you said, and I ain't gonna let you get ahead. Live rent free in my head. Never forget, I turn over instead. Contest, object. No, I'm not oppressed. A nation in distress. Won't let you get ahead. Forgive, never forget. You will live to regret your every attempt at offense. Upset.
Upset.
Yeah, bitch.
Bitch.
That's what I said.
Upset.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You want to taste a
Yeah,
shot of
shot of
lead?
lead.
No, bitch, we
Bitch.
ain't dead
Get
yet.
it?
Blood red. Blood
Blood
red.
red.
Everybody
But he's
red
blooded.
blooded. I could not care less.
Less.
Live rent
Free in your head.
Obsessed at best. Just a little tiny pest. Wallow in a mire under my step. No, bitch, we ain't dead yet. Didn't expect me to resurrect.
Right.
Everybody's red blooded. The best, living rent free in your head. No, I am not oppressed because I'm from the West. Go ahead. Try to blow me down. Gonna ricochet. No, bitch, we ain't dead yet. Not when I'm from the West. The best. Never forget this. Every single one of us is red blooded. The West. That's what. The West. That's why we are the best. The best.
Best.
The best.
That's the
The
best.
best. I know it's a little bit repetitive at the end there.
Well, see, it's a song. So if you keep in mind that it's supposed to be like rapped,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be rapped, and actually a huge influence on me at least. And I actually wrote a number of songs slash what you might call it, like sort of like metal hip hop lyrics for Thunderstruck. Is I don't know if you've heard of like Terry B. Murphy of My Ruin, and is like she does as a band with her or their husband, which is kind of like it's back to sort of roots, because she started out in hip hop, right? And she was the then girlfriend of Eazy-E from NWA, but nobody's, like she was clearly in charge, and she even, like, one of her first videos she did for the album The Power of a Woman, which she's got like Eazy-E tied up in a chair, and you need to go.
Alex,
Yeah.
I need to eat breakfast.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I'm gonna have to go here.
Okay, what I'll say, so I'm about to wrap this up, and
Okay.
so I guess we can give a big squeeze to Ossiana, and we're and then we're gonna see you quite soon, and best of luck with your new job, and
Yeah. Give me a call afterwards, because I do have to fill you in on like the job stuff, just so that I'm not flaking on you. I just might.
Yeah. I just need all the info, because I'm only one small bear. Okay. Love you much. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so and then pretty soon we're gonna wrap things up. But with Jennfer, so just to reiterate, okay, would love to have you on board with any of our anthologies. We got Black Sabbath, which we're putting out, probably in a couple of weeks. We could use like any song that you've written that already exists. It doesn't matter, because if you're a metal person, then you're Black Sabbath is foundational, right? And
Yeah.
or if you could write us something new, because it's all for charity, it all goes to help the children, and that would be lovely. And so Jennfer, what is coming up for Defenestration, and two, how can people get how can people like access your music, and yeah, two questions.
Okay, so we've got just a few gigs coming up, local to me in Bauhaus's hometown, Northampton.
Northampton, yeah.
On the 3rd of May with Kid Bookie, and then we've got the Northhampton Rocks Festival, which is all like from our county, bands from our county, which it does include Raging Speedhorn and a band called Gutworm that have reformed as well, local to us. And then we have a gig with Kill to This, which is a band from the UK that were around the same sort of time. I think our paths might have half crossed, but not much. So that's in their hometown in Manchester. But for people wanting to find our music or see what we're up to, it's probably best to find us on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok if that's your thing. Just follow what we're doing, because I think we'll just like release any news via those sort of channels.
Okay, so I guess that covered both things. Okay, so and then I'm about to sign off. So and yeah, so you actually covered everything. So thank you so much, Jennfer, for being on the Smol Bear Show, and you're welcome to come back, anytime as a guest if you have new music, things you want to promote, or just to hang out with us. And so and then for me, for Alea, and all of us, also I want to just for tomorrow, which is we're pretty hardcore. Tomorrow we're having we're having one of our contributing authors, filmmaker, feminist filmmaker, activist, curator, film director, actress, and author of a book called Some Fucked Up Shit, none other than Nicole H. Six. The surname is Sixx, and if it sounds familiar to you, it's because she's the daughter of
Nikki Sixx,
right? But far more talented than dead. And we also having Mary Death, who's a filmmaker, punk rock singer, and badass, director, special effects technician. Her name is Mary Death, and she is the screenwriter of a film called it's a feminist vigilante horror film called Death Bitch. So which Nicole is actually in the movie too, as well as Bridget the Midget. What's her last name? Bridget the Midget.
Oh, I don't know her last name.
Bridget the Midget something or other, right? She's like actually a fucking porn star, right? Yeah, so she's in the movie too, and they make a big deal, about
Shame on me.
And Nicole is a mutual friend of our friend who's the who's married to the grandson of Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan. Her name is Sharon Miscal LaVey, and I'm really hoping that she would join us, but like that's going to happen. Well, anyway, yeah. So I just also a little self promo would be in order, because speaking of the Church of Satan, as we work this series that I created, it's called Fucked Up Fairy Tales, and this was actually officially endorsed by Church of Satan. I'm not a Satanist, and I do not support rational self-interest. I think that's bullshit, but at any rate, I shouldn't say that I don't care, because I'm always speak the truth. Fucked Up Fairy Tales, it has a cover by Academy Award nominated animator Bill Plimpton, okay, who endorsed the entire series, right? That's Bill Plimpton did the cover for my book. That's Princess Cherry Pop. and also endorsed the entire series. Witty and clever, says Bill Plimpton, right? And so I'm continuing that through horror sleaze trash publications, which is also putting out my dark satire collection, A Great Variety of Monsters, which is about 300 pages, and it was named by Alea here. It's inspired by Alea. So so that's, we're gonna also have Alea and Ossiana and myself. My most recent publication is I'm a contributor to a book that was originally just 3 people, Catfish McDorris, Jack Mitchelline, and Charles Bukowski. And that was back in the day, and that was put together by Catfish McDorris, I'm also the collaborator with, and Newington Blue Press in Germany just did a brand new special edition of Prying, which includes like people like Neely Tchaikovsky, who was Bukowski's biographer and co-edited a zine with Bukowski when he was like 15 years old, and then like Jack Mitchelline, who's a legendary member, the Beat Generation poet, and A.D. Hitchen, who edited the book Cut Up, an anthology dedicated to the cut up method of Brian Geisen and William S. Burroughs, and which I'm in along with people like Mark Olmsted and Allen Ginsberg, right? And then we had Charles Bukowski. I'm in a book with Charles Bukowski. I'm in a book with Charles Bukowski. Okay. Right. I mean, like, okay, so I could die now. I also wrote a book called, speaking of the UK, as we were, you're being a native to the United Kingdom, which, we're really sorry about Donald Trump, by the way.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
All right.
go. I gotta go eat.
Okay. So just
Please.
one. Okay, you got to go eat because you have hypoglycemia. So I can't do this in 30 seconds. But I just
Sorry.
can you hold off for 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to also give a shout out to my friend in London, Jason J. Slater, who brought me on board with my first published novel. It was called Jason X Death Moon. It was a canonical, novelization of the film, New Line Cinema film, Jason X, right? And he's also was the editor of. He also wrote the film Perverella, which was directed by Alex Chandon, who went on to make Cradle of Fear with Danny Filth. So anyway, that's just it's amazing that you're from David and Kevin Haskins' hometown, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was the town that he wrote Bela Lugosi's Dead in. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we love you lots, and we hope that you could be a member of our
Sorry.
family here. I hate the word because it sounds so cult-like, but we are a cult, but we're nice people. We don't exclude you. Even if you hate us, we just ignore you, right? We don't go out of our way to like attack you or be bitter against you. So I mean, so okay, so this is a ritual thing we always do. You've participated in it before. It's the squeezins. And so a nice big squeezy hug with our new
Nice to
friend
meet ya.
Jennfer Tasker from Defenestration. And this has been Alex S. Johnson for the Smol Bear Show. God bless.
Thank you for
Thank
coming
you
on.
for having me.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Sorry about my coughing fit. I've
You're
only-
okay. I have
It's no
to it
worries.
now.
It's no worries.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.